The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us for our Youth Take Flight for College Success webinar. Hope you're all here in the right place. We're glad you took some time out of your evening to join us, and we have some really great guests. This is the third week of our three-week series. And of course, we started off with kind of looking at college entrance, getting from where you are to where you want to be, taking those next steps of applying and going through the financial aid, getting into looking at your housing. Last week, of course, we took the deeper dive into our financial aid and all the different resources and things to keep an eye on there. And so this week we're talking about campus life success, about being successful in your time, about the adjustment period of starting off that journey of your next stage of life. And so we're very happy to have with us Dr. Christine Norton, who is an associate professor of social work at Texas State University. She's also the foster care liaison and has done some really wonderful work with our youth with lived experience there. And she also has brought along a wonderful special guest, Renisha Dokes. And I'll let Christine introduce her in just a moment. But just a word about our event. Stay attuned to us, stay active. If you have questions, put them in the questions or the chat tab. I'll be monitoring them throughout the evening. I know our speakers will probably have maybe some questions they'll look for some feedback on. And as a reminder, each week we're doing a random draw of participants to get a $30 gift. We'll be contacting you about that. And for those who've taken a part in all 3 weeks of our series, there'll be also a random drawing for a larger prize. So thanks again for being with us. And with that, I'm going to hand off to Dr. Norton.
Awesome. Thanks, Todd. This is kind of like the sleepy time of the day, right? You know, the weather, it's getting darker and colder. And so hopefully you're like in your jammies under a blanket, chilling out. I would love to get to know a little bit about who is here. I put on the next slide, Todd, if you don't mind going to that we would just do a brief chat intro and icebreaker. So if you don't mind just writing in the chat, maybe your name and what grade you're in, and I don't know, like how about your least favorite food? We'll see if anyone can do that. And I will, Renisha, you and I will participate as well to think about this, my least favorite food. I'm not going to tell y'all what grade I'm in either, because I am old. I'm out of school finally. So I'll just write old, Christine Norton, old, and my least favorite food. Oh my goodness. You know what? I gotta say, this is gonna disappoint my daughter. I'm not a fan of raw fish. No, thank you. Now, can I see the chat? I don't know if I can see the chat.
I'm not sure if you're the first one to put it.
It's okay. You can. I'm just curious, Todd. Maybe you can read out the chat to us.
Sure thing.
Who we've got here? That'd be great.
Well,
y'all don't fall asleep on me here.
Points for participation. We have our random drawings coming.
That's right. That's right. Well, you can let me know if you do get any exciting information about people's least favorite foods. I got Renisha's onions. That's right. I do know that about you because I think I've ordered onions on your pizza before. Renisha, well, why don't you introduce yourself real quick? I mean, Todd let y'all know I'm a professor at Texas State. I'm also the foster care liaison. And we usually host y'all at Texas State on our campus. And because of COVID-19, obviously, that's put a damper on that. But we want to make sure in higher education that we are still reaching out to you all, future college students, and can see my little sign here, like hopefully you're on that road to college, and hopefully tonight Renisha and I can inspire you to stay on that road and persist, and let you know too that you're not alone, that we're here to help you with that. So Renisha, do you want to say anything else before we get started?
Yeah, just introducing myself. I'm Renisha. I am a graduate student here at Texas State. So I finished up my bachelor's, and it's 2 extra years of school. I am studying criminal justice, and I graduate this December in 4 weeks, as Dr. Norton was pointing out.
Yeah, go Bobcats.
Awesome.
So I don't know if y'all realize, but we really have a growing trend in higher education in Texas, in particular at Texas State, of students that come, Todd, and they use that tuition fee waiver, and then they finish their undergrad degree, and then they realize, oh my gosh, I can use this tuition and fee waiver to get a master's degree, to get a doctorate, to go to law school. So we have students that are continuing on using that tuition fee waiver, which is super exciting.
That's
So
awesome.
if you want to go to the next slide for me, that'd be great. Awesome. Todd is I have like a fake remote. So I set this up as both informational and inspirational, because I think we need both in life. I think we need to know some good information about the road to college, but then sometimes, we have all the information, but maybe we just are not feeling like it's possible. And so I also want to remind you that it is possible and not to give up. So I tell my FACES students this all the time. You have one job and one job only, and that is to never give up. We've had students at Texas State who have come. They have, I call it round 1 and round 2, right? Round 1 is, college was hard, and they didn't do all the great things that I'm going to share with you in this PowerPoint. But then they left Texas State, went back maybe to a 2-year college, got their credits, back, and then they got their financial aid back, and they tried again and came back and graduated. So sometimes I know for a lot of us, the road is not straight. The road is sort of winding, but this is rule number 1. Keep going. You've got this. Don't ever give up. So that's my little pep talk. You can go to the next slide, Todd. Rule number 2 is ask for help. And Renisha, I'm sure you can say a little bit about this as well. I tell the youth that come for campus visits that there is one thing that distinguishes youth at Texas State who are in foster care, the ones that are successful from the ones that are not. There is literally one thing, and it is the ability to ask for help. No one should suffer or struggle alone. None of us do. None of us made it. I didn't get my PhD by myself. I got it by building a network of support so that when I fell on hard times, I had people to go to. So I do know, right, though, Renisha, that asking for help is not everyone's favorite thing. So I don't know if you want to say something more about that to everyone listening.
Yeah, like Dr. Norton was saying, you really, really do have to ask for help. I think that's the number 1 advice that I'd give to not only you guys, but for everyone going to college. Because asking for help could literally be the difference between getting a B or an A in the class, a C or a B, a D or a C. Really, your professors know, as sad as it sounds, like they don't know anything about you. You're just a face, another name. But if you take that effort to go up and be like, I know we talked about this in class, but it's just not clicking, I need help, then they're going to be more willing to help you. There are some professors that are like bad professors and tell you to basically like get away from them. But I'd say 99.9% of professors actually want students to come ask for help And then, like I said, it helps out your grade. They're more willing to watch you succeed than to be like, you know what, I'm gonna fail them. Like, no, they will give you an A over a B simply because you came to office hours or because you emailed them or Zoom as we're doing these days. But I also think asking for help goes for, well, applies to more than just school. It applies to literally your everyday life, especially mental health. And I know here at Texas State, I'm not sure about other college campuses or like ACC or whatnot, if they offer free tutoring, but we have that here at Texas State, and I think they're good. And if they determine that you need a little more help than they offer, uh, they're more than willing to give you a reference outside of a referral outside of the Texas State campus.
Thanks, Renisha. Yeah, we'll talk more about campus resources in detail, but I think the good question to ask yourself is, you know, kind of what gets in my way of asking for help, right? Like all of us have maybe shame or pride or embarrassment, or maybe we haven't experienced that trust, right? Maybe some of you have asked for help in your lives and have been met with inadequate support. And so I think that's a really fair barrier to have to get over. And I would say that's why we take it so seriously in our campus support programs across the state, to really make sure that we are building those trustworthy, reliable relationships with you all so that you know that people are there for you. Which leads me to my next slide. Some of you may not know this, but probably if you're going to your PAL meetings, you do know this, that every 2-year and 4-year public university in the state of Texas has a campus foster care liaison. That means any 2-year and 4-year school that your tuition and fee waiver is good at, you will be able to have a point of contact. So when you get to school, even before you get to school, find out who your foster care liaison is. If you go to this website, College for All Texans, you can Google foster care liaison, and there's a list. The Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board tries to keep it updated. And so let's say you were coming to Texas State, you would look it up online. You can also sometimes go to the university's website that you're interested in attending and seek that out. Ask an admissions counselor for that information. They are required by law to provide that information on their website. So you can also check the campus website. But this person should and can be your main point of contact. And one of the things that we will do then as a foster care liaison is link you to other people on campus and other resources. And one of the things that we try to do is not treat you, like Renisha said, like just a face or a name or a number. In fact, it's like we really want to take your hand and introduce you to a person, give you a name of a specific person in financial aid, in housing, in the counseling office, so that you don't feel like you're just being shuffled around through higher education. You know, some of our universities are really big, some are really small, and you'll need to make a choice about what environment you think is best for you. Is it best to start off at a 2-year college and kind of practice, you know, being a student, right, in a 2-year setting, and then transferring into a 4-year college? Any of these options are great, right? Especially because if you lock in your tuition and fee waiver, right, before you're 25, either through dual credit, through 2-year college, community college, or at a 4-year college, then you, as of now, have that benefit for a lifetime, which is really exciting. So in order to really get the services that you need, the first step you need to do is find out who your foster care liaison is on the campus that you're interested in. All right, next slide, please.
I'll just add in, if you have trouble Googling it, if you're not finding it, reach out to your PAL coordinators, contact me. I send the list out to students all the time when I talk to them, probably several times a week. And so we'll put you in touch with the right people. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Todd, and you guys have been, your PAL coordinators have been awesome over the years, just of being people that are going to stay in your lives in a lot of ways. You know, they're really rooting for you. They're part of your support team. So obviously, as you're deciding to go to college, you're probably going to wonder, like, where should I live, right? And so one of the things that you want to do is be aware of supervised independent living options. And so I'm sure, Todd, you guys have talked about SIL with some of your students.
Yeah, we've obviously we talk about it at most of our events, but through this webinar, we've mentioned it each week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and so what we're finding in higher education is that there are sort of three models that we're seeing around supervised independent living. One is sort of like what Texas State has, where we have sort of a memorandum of understanding with Upbring, their Be Real program. So they have apartment units in the community in San Marcos that students can live off campus in supervised independent living. And as of now, because most freshmen are required to live on campus at Texas State, those students just have to request a waiver to be able to live off campus in SIL. That's one model. Then another model is where a program will kind of contract with the university to provide SIL on campus. And then the third model is that the campus itself, the university itself, is offering supervised independent living. And those other two models mean that you could have supervised independent living in the dorms, right? In the residence halls. And so I put a link here, and I'll just leave the link. I guess we don't have to go to it, but you can go to this link and you can see the universities that are offering supervised independent living. But it's such a wonderful opportunity, and we're trying to work towards that hopefully gradually at Texas State, because we do know based on the research that students that live on campus feel more connected to the university. So we're super excited to see more supervised independent living programs happening on campus. Renisha, I know you were not in SIL, but I'm wondering, is there anything else that you would want to say just about housing in general to the students that are watching related to college and housing stability and housing transitions?
I think housing was the most difficult part of getting to college for me. Because first of all, you have to figure out if you're gonna live on campus, which dorm room you want to live at. And there's like communal bathrooms where everyone gets to use them, or some dorm rooms have private bathrooms where it's only you and your roommate uses them. And then it varies by how many roommates you have, and then what side of campus. It was a lot. So
Yeah.
once I actually figured that out, that was okay for the first 2 years of school. For holidays, if you're not going to be going home with family, that was a hard thing to figure out, like for Thanksgiving holidays, Christmas holidays, and the summer breaks. Like you have to figure out where you're going to stay. And then for like transitioning.
Can I jump in about that?
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say that most of the universities for the holiday breaks will offer break housing so that students can stay on campus. And I know there used to be a fee. Most universities are apt to waive that fee and help you, again, find that housing stability even throughout the holidays. So it's an issue of like asking for that. And if you found your foster care liaison, then those are all the kinds of questions you can ask that person, like, hey, what do I do, over the winter break? And they can help you navigate that. Sorry to cut you off, Renisha. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Going from living on campus to off campus, I think was a little hard too. Simply because like college cities, they all do their leasing around the same time. So they'll have people signing up for apartments in October, or way before October, the semester before you come. And it's a year lease that you sign into. And so you got to kind of find the right prices. Here in San Marcos, we're on a tier system. So the longer you wait to sign up for an apartment, it gets a little more expensive. So that's also something we have to tell like our FACES students to look out for.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So again, another way of building your support community, and this is actually, I think, the best thing about campus support programs is you don't just have to go to the foster care liaison, right? Once you find out if your campus that you're interested in going to has a campus support program, then you have all of the knowledge from students like Renisha, students that are upperclassmen or grad students that have navigated all of these, difficult questions. And so again, I put a link in the slide, and Todd, you can take these out, or I don't know if you're going to share this with students, but Education Reach. Oh, there you go. Look at that. So these are all schools that, again, not only have the foster care liaison, but have campus support programs. So that is so exciting. Oh my goodness, when we started this work 10 years ago, there were only like 3 or 4. But I really am so excited about the work that Reach and PAL and others have done. You can see we really want y'all to have choices. That is the most important thing. Like, what you're interested in studying, or you'll figure it out. And so you might also have preferences where you want to live. Do you want to live in West Texas? Do you want to go to near the ocean? Do you want to be in the hill country? Really thinking about campus fit is important as well. I know, Renisha, you were trying to decide between a couple of different schools. Do you want to say anything about that whole idea of campus fit? And then maybe also talk a little bit about our campus support program and how it's been helpful to you? Not really as an advertisement for FACES or Texas State, but just in general, why campus support programs are so helpful.
Yeah, so a little bit about why I chose Texas State. One of the best pieces of advice that I got in high school with regards to choosing what college to go to would be go to the campus that made you feel most at home. And for me, that was Texas State. Honestly, my first school choice was Texas A&M, but after visiting, I went to a lot of college campuses as part of my AVID program. That last month before deciding which college to go to, I really had a come to Jesus talk with myself, and I was like, I know I want to go to A&M, but is that the best fit for me? And in the end, I said no, and here I am getting my master's degree in December at Texas State. So a little bit about the other questions about campus support. So I know a lot of you in the webinar might be looking at all these support programs at the other schools. In the back of your head, you're like, after I graduate high school, I want absolutely nothing to do with foster care. Like, it's been a big part of my life, and I'm ready to let that go. And trust me, I was on the same exact thought path. I wanted nothing to do with it. So I heard about FACES, and I got an email about coming to get a welcome back kit or welcome to college kit, and it was just like pencils and a backpack and a t-shirt. And they were telling me about FACES, and first thing, for those of you who don't know, FACES stands for Foster Care Alumni Creating Educational Support. And the first thing that I saw was foster care, and I said, nope, I don't want anything to do with it. But I was convinced to come to a meeting, and I did because there was free food. But those people in that room never felt more like a family than anyone else I have ever met. And even still to this day, I talk to the older students who have already graduated. We keep up with each other as well as the current students. And I feel like having Faces as my support system here at Texas State really influenced my decision to go on to get a master's degree, because you have so many people rooting for you, and there's so much support with regards to mental health, or maybe you just had a bad day and you want a friend to go out to go pick up some fast food with. Well, you have your friend from Faces, or you need to call someone because you're stuck on the side of the road. You can call anyone from Faces, even Dr. Norton, and she'll pop up with her, "Oh, hey, how have you been?" Dr. Norton
Again,
is kind of
asking
like,
for help.
yeah, Dr. Norton is like our mom.
Well, and I'm gonna cut you off because you're gonna embarrass me now. But what I think that I'm wanting folks on the line, and those of you that are gonna watch this webinar to hear, is that there are people there that have a shared experience with you. And you don't have to tell them your story, you don't have to explain what it was like or what it meant being in foster care. There's just kind of a shared acceptance, right? It's like, okay, yeah, we have kind of walked in each other's shoes. And that peer support is really, really critical. And the other thing about that is no one is there to like judge or make assumptions about you, like just because you were in foster care. The whole idea is now you're a college student. And so given your lived experience in foster care, how can we best support you to be a successful college graduate? So that's like the real shift. And it's kind of funny because there really was a stigma. You know, I think a lot of campuses across the state that have campus support programs realized that what they needed to focus on and highlight was that college success piece and that building that community rather than, oh, you were in foster care and that's your identity. And what's really been cool is to watch that stigma just go away. And now, I mean, when our students graduate, they get this blue sash, and our students designed the sash. They picked the color of bright blue for child abuse awareness, and it says, you know, Faces on one side and Texas State. And I know other schools do those kinds of things too, because your identity at that point is a college student, right? Wherever you go to school, you know, you're connecting as a Longhorn, as a Bobcat, as an Aggie, right? And that is part of your new part of your identity. So check out those campus support programs, and you have your choice of colleges to go to and people that you will find to support you. So next slide. Along with, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. Along with campus support programs, even before campus support programs existed, higher education has really wanted to help figure out how to address like student support needs. So one of the things I always highlight is the counseling center. Every single college or university that you could go to will have some kind of free mental health counseling support, right? And so again, like think about how great that is, because sometimes you just want to talk to a counselor because you're stressed, like with school and the you know, pressures of being a student. But sometimes maybe something happens and it kind of triggers something from your past, and you're like, oh my God, how can I deal with that while I'm also trying to be successful in college? Maybe you have something come up, a conflict with a friend or a family member, and you want to talk to someone about it. The counseling center is there to help and support you. So that's exciting. Also, the Office of Disability Services at universities is there to provide you with any kind of accommodations you might need. If you have any kind of diagnosed learning disability or any other kind of physical or mental disability. And it's, in some ways, I feel like the accommodations in higher education are even greater than in K through 12, because there's just more flexibility. You know, professors will let you take an exam in the testing center where it's nice and quiet, you're not distracted. You know, if you need to record a lecture, if you need to sit in the front of the classroom, whatever it is. And it's a really cool model because it's not like you get called out, right? Like, oh, I have special accommodations. It's a very confidential process that the university contacts your professor on your behalf. And then you go and you talk to that professor one-on-one. So it's a very confidential, you don't have to feel embarrassed. But I always encourage our students to make sure to get that support if they need those accommodations. Likewise, every university will have some kind of student health center. This is really important, especially in the time of COVID. Right now, at Texas State, I know on other college campuses as well, there's free COVID testing. So you can just walk right on campus and go get tested. It's not the kind they stick up your nose either, which is good. It's the kind in your mouth. But you can do it even if you're asymptomatic, right? Just to go and make sure that you're safe and you're healthy. And I think that things like that are really important. The Student Health Center also, on most university campuses, has a sliding fee scale. So if you needed antibiotics or you needed to be seen for something else, they can work with you around making sure you can afford that. I also know that, we have another slide, some of you will come out of foster care having STAR Health. And so I always really want to highlight, Todd, I feel like that could be a webinar in and of itself, is on really helping youth coming out of care know about and maintain their health benefits.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Renisha talked a little bit about tutoring, but again, every college and university that you could go to with your tuition and fee waiver will have free tutoring and academic support. There will be a writing center if you struggle with writing, if it's math and science that you need help with, that's all available. Again, trick question, I think extra points toward the gift drawing. If someone writes in the chat, what's the one thing you have to do? You just have to ask for help, right? So sounds like you guys had a big long webinar about financial aid, but I will say a little bit more about that, because it's just really important that you stay in contact with your financial aid office to make sure you're understanding your award, that you're staying in compliance with satisfactory academic progress, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. The other thing that we're seeing these days also on many college campuses are food banks or food pantries, because we recognize that not only is housing instability an issue, but so is food insecurity. A lot of times students are really trying to scrape by, working, going to school, and so a lot of times there are resources for you to get that extra assistance that you need. I'm going to let Renisha just say, have any of these services on campus been helpful to you, or did I leave any off that that you've used that you think students would want to know about?
I've definitely used a counseling center. Even if you just go there to cry to your therapist, I mean, it's free, so I would take advantage of it. I've had friends that use the Office of Disability Services. From what I've seen, the professors are very nice and very accommodating. Student Health Center, again, I've had friends that go there, and if they're on like Star Health or Medicaid, like they really try to work with you to make sure that you're getting what you need. Tutoring, I've never liked tutoring, so I didn't go to the one here at Texas State. I'm very meticulous about like note taking and whatnot, so I've never really needed tutoring.
You've also been really, I mean,
mentoring.
you're kind of one of those people that's really good at going to your professors too, which I think is another form of tutoring in a way, if you can go directly to your actual instructor.
Oh yeah, going to professors is, I would say for me, in the beginning, it was embarrassing because like you're supposed to be an adult now and you're in college and whatnot. And so really setting aside my pride and being able to go up to, I was in algebra or something. It was a really hard math class here at Texas State. And I went to office hours and we sat through it, we got through it. And at the end of the day, I understood the assignment and I passed my test as a result of going to go have that very awkward, embarrassing conversation with my professor. But it worked out in the end, so I think that was worth it. mentoring, Dr. Norton is my mentor. Financial aid, yeah, it was surprising to me that even as a graduate student, you still get grants, because I didn't know about that. And then I think I visited the food pantry once just to see what it was like. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool in there.
Yeah, thanks, Renisha. I appreciate that. I will say that with the mentoring, I didn't speak much to that, but a lot of our campuses have two kinds of mentoring. One is peer mentoring, right? Like we talked about, where you can talk to other college students that are sort of in your same shoes. But then we also, there at Texas State, and I know other schools and universities also offer faculty and staff mentoring. So if you want a professor as a mentor, someone that you can contact, and ask questions to, it's kind of nice just to have that other adult support on campus. So make sure when you contact your liaison, you ask, hey, is there a mentoring program? I would love to be a part of that. Just one more layer of support for y'all. All right, let's go to the next slide. What's that,
Your
Renisha?
first year here at Texas State, the school gives you like a peer mentor, and that person like oversees, I think it's your US 1100 class.
Yeah.
I forget what that translates to. I think it's university seminar.
The freshman
and so
seminar.
they stay with they stay with you until you finish that class. And then there's like another mentor that the college gives you for your first year of school to make sure you're good with like advising and stuff. So there's like 10 different types of mentors college offers.
That's awesome. It's a lot of support. And I think that can kind of feel weird though, right, Renisha? Like, who are all these people, especially when you're coming out of foster care and trying to find your feet. And maybe it's the first time in your life that you've been, an adult alone, right? And trying to figure out, who can I trust? Who can I talk to? And I think I would just really encourage you, even though, it's important to like have your boundaries and build those relationships at your pace, is to try and give people a chance, the people in higher ed who really want to see you be successful. Just let them in just a little bit, right? Because they're on your team. Speaking of people who are on your team, most of you will have access to the education and training voucher, which I'm sure that you have heard a lot about through PAL as well. But the one thing I would say is really, really stay in touch. I know Brandy and Drew, they now have a group me, and you'll get texts from them about when your ETV application is due. But every semester, every academic year, you can reapply. And this is up to $5,000 of extra money that you can put towards books, towards housing, towards transportation. And I know that all of these resources and acronyms, they get really confusing, which again, if there's any one thing you get from this presentation, it's like, find out who your foster care liaison is at the campus that you choose to go to, because then they can remind you of all of these extra resources. Renisha, anything you want to say about ETV? I know you were really good about always getting your ETV applications in.
Yeah, every penny of that $5,000 counts. I know if you're trying to split it in between like 2 semesters in the summer, they release like 1,666 to you. But again, that's free money. That's the way I think of it. So even if my goal in high school was to apply to as much financial aid scholarships as I could, so that way I was taken care of at the end.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks. So speaking of financial aid, go to the next slide. So you have your tuition and fee waiver, right? And your tuition and fee waiver is a benefit that, as long as you lock that in by enrolling in college before you're 25, is yours to keep. Then you also fill out your FAFSA, right? The federal financial aid forms. And so once you fill that out, you can get additional financial aid from the federal government. That financial aid that you get from the government is connected to your academic progress. So you need to have a 2.0, which is like a C average, and you need to have 67% completion rate in your classes. In other words, you can't drop or fail or withdraw from more than that, right? So you have to complete at least 67% of your classes to keep that federal financial aid. Also, it's important to know that extension courses are not covered by the tuition and fee waiver. So when you go to enroll, you should always ask, is this an extension class? If it's not covered, then you'll need to apply some of your federal financial aid to that. Basically, the financial aid office will determine the total cost of attendance, and then whatever gaps are there, that's where the financial aid comes in, and that's also where the ETV money comes in, so that hopefully they cover that full cost of attendance. One of the things that I want to say, though, is that the tuition and fee waiver is not linked to your satisfactory academic progress. So I tell you this not because I want you to lose your federal financial aid, but because I don't want you to panic. We've had students who have fallen below a 2.0 at Texas State, and they've scrambled. They've lost their federal financial aid. They've had to maybe take fewer hours, get a part-time job, but they've never lost that tuition and fee waiver. And because of that, they've been able to go back. And I love that phrase, poco a poco. You know, they've been able to go back little by little and get that GPA back up above a 2.0. And once you do that, you can appeal to get your financial aid reinstated again. And you have to document what was going on. Were there extenuating circumstances? You know, maybe you were struggling with housing or a mental health issue. But either way, there's always a way back. That's the thing I want you to remember. Right? Renisha, pop quiz, what was rule number 1?
Ask for help.
No, that's rule number 2. What's rule number 1?
I'm a bad student.
Renisha's brain is so full of grad school. That's hilarious. Don't worry, you're not being graded. Rule number 1 is never give up. Never ever give up. This financial aid stuff can get really complicated, but never give up. All right, next slide, Todd. You're so funny, Renisha. You're like, I don't know. What's rule number 1? We have a really good sense of humor at Texas State because we know that life is stressful. Y'all must be so stressed. I know. You've got COVID and online school and online classes. Hang in there. This is the perfect next slide, right? Right now, more than ever, is a good reminder that we all need to be practicing self-care. And by self-care, I don't mean like spa days. I don't mean you have to spend a ton of money on things, right? Because none of us have a lot of money. The point is you have to look at how you're going to make life easier and better for yourself. That's what self-care is. So look at the examples on this little Post-it note, right? Like asking for help, spending time alone, spending time with people. Maybe during COVID, we're spending too much time alone. And what you need to do is like pick up the phone and call someone. Putting yourself first, right? Having those healthy boundaries, not trying to be all things to all people. Asking for what you need, setting boundaries, staying at home, saying no, forgiving yourself, right? That's a huge part of self-care. I don't know about y'all, but I make mistakes all the time. And the biggest thing that we have to do when we make a mistake is take ownership for it and then forgive ourselves for it, right? And in college, you're gonna make a ton of mistakes. You're gonna forget deadlines, you might fail a quiz, you might, show up late to class. I mean, there are all kinds of ways that becoming an adult is really just about making mistakes. The hope, right? The goal is that you don't make mistakes that are so big that you can't ask for help, right? The little ones, though, don't let those bother you. Just say, oh man, I messed up, Dr. Norton, no big deal. It's so funny. I just went the other day, I was on campus and I bumped into a former student and I hadn't seen him in a while. And he said, oh, Dr. Norton, So I took a break. I had to take a little break, and I said, you're not dropping out. And he goes, I know. I'm coming back. But he was so embarrassed. And I said, well, what happened? And he's like, well, I was struggling in some classes. He's like, but really, he's like, I lost my financial aid. I needed to get a job. And then I just started working. And I said, well, what is it that's motivating you to come back? And he goes, well, I like the job I'm in. I'm making pretty good money. But he said, I know that there's, more I can be doing with my life. And I know that getting my degree, he wants to be a teacher. He's like, I can't become a teacher without a college degree. And so for him, even though he's able to make some money and work, he's not really pursuing the dream that he has. And so even though he took some time off, again, his form of practicing self-care is putting himself first and saying, no, these life goals matter to me. My life is worth it. So it's worth the struggle. So yeah, just make sure y'all are doing what you need to take good care of yourselves. And that leads to the next slide. And then I'll let Renisha jump in a little bit more about self-care. Take care of your physical and mental health. Right here, I put the link, the sort of logo for Superior Health Plan. They are the people who offer Star Health, which is Medicaid for youth who are in foster care. And again, Todd and others can give you more resources about that. But I can't tell you how important healthcare benefits are, right? You shouldn't, if you're sick, you shouldn't avoid going to the doctor because you don't have healthcare. So let your PAL staff help you figure out how to maintain your benefits. I know one of the things that trips up our students a lot is that they have to reapply for these benefits every year. And sometimes people forget or it gets complicated. So a lot of times your foster care liaison or your campus support program can help you keep up your healthcare benefits. And these benefits will cover both physical and mental health. And I just think, those things are really, really important, right? And I think too, people forget about things like vision and dental. And so making sure that you almost have like a little file where you sit down and you're like, okay, I gotta be an adult now, right? And so how can I prioritize my well-being, right? A lot of times when we've, transitioned from being a kid to being an adult, it's like we sort of look around and go, well, who's gonna take care of me now? And the reality is you're like, okay, I've got to take care of me. I've got to step into those shoes of really practicing self-care. And you're asking yourself, why is she talking about this on a webinar about college? But the reason is because if you don't take care of yourself, then you're going to get run down. You're not going to be able to focus as much. School's going to be harder. So what we're trying to do in our campus support programs as foster care liaisons is really make sure that you're taking care of the whole person, not just studying, but also taking care of your physical and mental health. What do you think, Renisha? How has that been for you? Has that been a hard thing to balance all of that?
Yeah, coming to college is almost something unexplainable. It's because like once you get here, the responsibility is on you to take care of yourself. And it sounds scary and confusing. And I mean, I agree that it is, but our number 2 rule, asking for help.
Good job,
asking, asking for help will really, really get you places. So, like, I know in some points I felt lonely, especially because of like the whole foster care thing and moving on to campus, and it was just like a culture shock. And so I went to therapy and kind of talked that out, and that really helped. And really, at Texas State, one of the most popular things that people go, well, I say Texas State, but I mean really any college. Students go to the counseling center when they're missing home, and they talk it out with our therapist. That's really common, really popular. So students shouldn't feel embarrassed for having to do that. Physical health, like we mentioned earlier, colleges have like on campus clinics and whatnot to help you out. And so I think really just asking for help gets you places.
And colleges also, I mean, there are a lot of places, and I know COVID, again, we got to get through this, y'all. But a lot of colleges and universities also have student rec centers, because part of being healthy is also like eating healthy, exercising, like all the things that you hear about, right? They actually are real. And not only that, but they're like huge stress reduction strategies. If you know anything about me or Texas State, you know, I'm a big believer in get outside, right? We sort of now with COVID, we know like nature is this amazing like place, and it's free. You can walk outside your door and feel the sunshine and the breeze, and all of that is really good for you. They did a study with college students actually looking at college mental health, showing that spending 10 minutes a day, only 10 minutes a day, either sitting or walking in nature, drastically reduce people's depression and anxiety symptoms. So we're talking about some simple things here, but again, prioritize yourself. You're worth it. And then finally, I think we're getting closer to the end here, is just this idea of staying connected is so, so important. And so again, with the foster care liaison and the campus support program, that's your foundation. That's the place to start. But the thing that I also want to highlight is that so many of our students, once they have that like baseline connection and foundation, they branch out. I mean, I think there are 450 registered student organizations at Texas State alone, and I'm sure all of the other colleges and universities have them as well. If you're interested in, you know, animal assisted therapy, there's a club for that. If you play softball, there's a club for that. If you like film, you know, there's a club for that. And just ways that you can connect with people. And even online right now, our campus support, our FACES student org meetings have been online because of COVID. And at first it was like, oh, this stinks, you know, but trying to find the silver lining, one of the cool things we've been able to do because it's online is invite our FACES alumni to come back. So students that have graduated and left Texas State have been able to join us during our meetings because, you know, we've formed those relationships. And we have students now who are in New York City working in publishing, another student that's got her doctorate in physical therapy, another that's going to law school. And so inviting them to come back and hearing their stories is just really inspiring. And so I know I've been letting Renisha talk a lot throughout this webinar because she really is an expert on college, more so than I am even because she's still in it. But I also wanted to just give you, Renisha, a little bit here at the end before maybe we take some questions if anyone is interested in asking some things, just to talk a little bit about your journey as a college student and maybe like some of the most important lessons that you've learned along the way that you would be willing to share with our listeners.
Cool. So yeah, my journey to college definitely wasn't easy. I told myself in 7th grade in my AVID class, I think we were at breakfast or something, and I was like, I am going to go to college. I am going to get my bachelor's degree. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's going to happen. And so I threw myself into dual credit classes once I reached high school. They were hard initially because it was like a 9th, 10th grader in college classes with adults. But eventually I got used to it. And while I was taking those college classes, I also mentioned that I was an AVID earlier, advancement via individual determination. And I had been in that since middle school. And that's how I was able to visit so many different college campuses, and then later on to determine that Texas State was the school for me. So while I was also in these dual credit classes, AVID was prepping us kind of like PAL is doing, having us go to different go see different key speakers, visit different college campuses, teaching us about financial aid and on-campus living and talking with your professors and writing a resume. Just really, I would call them life skills for college. And so I really like coming to talk to things on panels like this because I think it's really important for students to know that there are programs and whatnot out here specifically designed to help you get to college and to finish college. So with Avid and dual credit, I applied to, I think, 11 different colleges. That's a really huge number. Students don't really have to apply to that many colleges. I just did so because I know here in Texas, as long as you're in your top 10% of your class, you get automatically accepted into any college in Texas. And so I wanted to be that student that was like, look, I got into 50 colleges, but I only ended up applying to 11 because it was time consuming. As far as the tuition waiver goes, I had absolutely no idea about that until I think a week or two before deciding what college I was going to. So I had already racked up a lot of money in scholarships and whatnot. And so just having that tuition waiver on top of that really helped me, because once I did get to college, it turns out they're actually paying me to come to school because I get that extra money reimbursed to me. And money management is hard. At first, I was just going out and spending it because I was like, oh, look, I'm getting paid to come to college. No, you can't do that. You have to really hunker down and take on responsibility for not only attending your classes, because once you get to college, like it's on your own, like it's on your own free will to attend class. So you have to really commit to going to class. And then as far as money, like, are you going to save your money or are you going to have a job so that you can use that money that you have on the side to just go have fun? Are you going to put that money towards things like food or your phone bill? After living on campus, are you going to put that money towards your apartment, a car? There's just a lot of adult expenses that you have to think about that you never had to think about before because you were just a kid and going through high school, as you were told.
Those are great points. Can I jump in for a second, Renisha? While I'm thinking of it, I was like taking notes. Those are really great points. One of the things I want to highlight for y'all is that when you fill out the Common App for college, there's like the one statewide kind of application that can go out to all the different colleges. There is now a box on the Common App, and I'm not sure the exact wording of it, but it asks you, were you in foster care? And so if you check yes, please check yes. Don't think, oh, I don't want anyone to know, right? Like, check yes, because then the university will be cued to contact you to make sure that you know about the tuition and fee waiver, that you know about whether if there's SIL on campus. They will just reach out sooner to you if you check that box. Otherwise, the university doesn't know that you're there and that you have lived experience in foster care until they see that you're using the tuition and fee waiver, which isn't until you've like enrolled in classes. So by then it's a little bit later on. So if you do check that box on the Common App, then even during student orientation, people can kind of take you under their wing and mentor you and give you the help that you need. The other thing that I thought was really beautiful that you mentioned, Renisha, is money management. And I didn't put that on the list of campus resources, but I should have, because there are sort of financial literacy classes and resources for students to learn about money management while you're a college student. So that is definitely a support service that's also available. And then the last thing I wanted to say is, you know, one of the things that campus support programs and foster care liaisons also do is we work really hard to build relationships with other organizations in the community that also help support our students. So for example, one of our primary kind of partnerships is with Foster Angels, which is in Austin, but they serve kind of that Central Texas area. And they have been so wonderful just about supplementing some of the needs of our students, in particular, laptop computers, you know, graduation cap and gown, class ring, even cars. You know, so we are really, we want you to reach out and be the squeaking wheel, so to speak, and then we will go and try to find support either on campus or in the community to help get you what you need to be successful on your journey.
Yeah, and
I don't think I saw it.
sorry, I want to touch on one thing that Renisha brought up as well, and that's scholarships. There's actually a lot of opportunities out there for scholarships.
Absolutely.
If you look around, some of them are going to be, you know, related to maybe interests you have as far as majors, but there's a lot of foster youth scholarships that go unclaimed every year. And all you have to do is look around, talk to your PAL coordinators. We have one here in Texas that's partnered with our PAL programs called the Freshman Success Scholarship. And if you are awarded that your freshman year, you can, they've amended it where you can also now get those funds for your sophomore year. So take a look for those things because there's a lot of people out there that are looking to help you and to cheer you on along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and Texas State even has our own internal foster care scholarship, and then a lot of colleges have that as well. So definitely don't forget about applying for those scholarships. And I know it's so overwhelming, right? Just applying to college in and of itself is hard, but try to set some time aside for it and get, again, even on the path to college, getting those people that can help you with those things. Renisha, anything else you want to share before we see if anyone has any questions for us?
I wanted
Last
to
words
mention
of wisdom.
Yeah. I wanted to mention that here at Texas State, I'm not sure about other college campuses, but we have some support system that'll help you look for a job or write your resume or your cover letter, or maybe you need to practice interviewing or you need nice clothes to wear to an interview. So we have that here at Texas State called Jobs for Cats, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and every college and university on that list that you're interested in attending, that your tuition fee waiver will be accepted at, offers some kind of career counseling or career services. Absolutely. And one of the great things about that is a lot of times students, you guys might not have any idea what you want to study or what you want to be. So they can do you can take all these cool career assessments and kind of figure out what your talents and skills are. Some of you I know are like super directed and you're like, I want to be a vet or I want to be a teacher, but others just don't know right away, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. So everyone's journey is different. And I think the biggest thing that I want to go back and communicate is that there's no shame in the struggle, right? College is supposed to be hard. And so when you get here and you find yourself struggling, just be like, oh yeah, she said this was going to be hard. Who do I ask for help, right? And then just know that you've got a whole team of people both on the path getting here and once you've been here, and even after you graduate, right? Supporting you as alum is something that we want to do. The state of Texas, Education Reach, PAL, we all want to invest in you to be able to give back and to follow your dreams and do what it is that you want to do in your life. So I hope you get excited. I know it's scary, but I hope you also get excited about these opportunities because we need y'all. The world needs you. We've got big, complex problems we need your help solving.
Yep.
We say, Renisha, okay, another pop quiz for Renisha. What's our quote that I always say about smooth seas?
Oh, you gave me a hint. It's no longer a quiz. Smooth seas don't make good sailors. So I think for college, that means like college is definitely going to be hard. It's just about you figuring out your support systems and what works best for you, and figuring out how to ride those waves through college and across the stage at graduation. That's the big payoff, is graduating and living,
Yeah.
getting to live life.
Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, and I always say, you know, our foster care alumni, right? Our youth with lived experience in foster care, y'all have already faced challenges. You know how to overcome challenges more than like most people. And I think that's a real asset. I think that's a real strength. And you bring that grit and that resilience to college with you. And just remind yourself of that, how strong you are and how capable you are to overcome challenges. And then we will help you along the way to support you and cheer you on. And Education Reach, like I said, is also there. Every year we have our convening, and we love it when our college students attend and keep giving us ideas and feedback on how we can make our campus support programs and our campus liaison services even more user-friendly and better for the students that we serve. So we hope we hear from you. And Todd, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say.
A few questions from the chat. Speaking of riding those waves, Christina wanted to know, Renisha, what was the hardest adjustment you had when you started college?
Good question, Christina.
I would say being away from family, living on campus, and then also like not keeping track or staying on top of eating 3 meals a day, because it's so easy to get caught up with hanging out with your friends or being busy with schoolwork that you see students like pulling all-nighters and not forgetting to eat dinner. And so it's making sure you continue to have a normal eating schedule, and then also coping with like being away from people or places that you're familiar with, especially if you're going to go to a college in a city that you don't live. But I got used to it, and it's actually pretty awesome being out here.
Speaking of, we have another participant asking, what was your favorite part of living on campus?
Oh, wow. Living on campus, everything is so close to you. We even have here at Texas State, we have a miniature Target like right next to campus, not even a 5-minute walk away. And then like there's a mini HEB like 15 minutes away. So if you didn't have a ride or something, you can just walk to the store and walk back to your dorm room if you needed something from the grocery store. There's an array of food options. They have like Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, like it's just right in your hands. It's also a positive for if you wake up late and you have to run to class. Class is just 5 minutes away.
Except in Texas State, you got to go up all those hills.
As long as you live uphill, you're good.
Okay.
If you live downhill and you have to run to class, I'd just stay home at that point. I'm just kidding. Any other questions?
Someone else wanted to ask if you had any other campus organizations that really helped you or that you enjoyed.
I have not joined any other organizations simply because grad school is like undergrad times 2. Grad school is a full-time job. It's a good job. It's a hard job, but there's really not much room to focus on anything else. But some of our other students are in, there's like Latina organizations, and then of course we have we have sports and whatnot. One of our past students was in a sorority. Actually, two of them were. So there's really a lot to get into on campus. I even saw that there is a hide and seek club on campus where they meet up every Wednesday night to play hide and seek. I thought that was really cool. And I would have joined it if I did not have class Wednesday nights. There's a bunch of like very silly clubs like that. I think Dr. Norton mentioned earlier that we have like over 100 clubs and organizations that you can join. So it's really about finding
like over 400. Seriously, it's crazy. Renisha, though, you also got involved in leadership with FACES and then did a lot of different things with FACES. Can you talk about some of the like fun things that the campus support programs offer, not just, you know, tutoring or mental health, but what about some of the other things that you've gotten to be a part of?
So Dr. Norton mentioned Education Reach earlier. I've gotten to speak on the panel about FACES there, but for FACES, some of the fun things that we've done is Texas State has its own like campsite, and down there they have like ropes courses. So we did that, some zip lining, and then it's also by a body of water. So we've been swimming and kayaking, canoeing, and we've camped out there, not in like an actual like tent. We were in a cabin
We were glamping
for a retreat. Yeah, we were glamping. We had our cell phones, we had plugs, like everything. We had a refrigerator. We were living the big life on that campsite. What else have we done? We've done a lot of things. It's been
Some
pretty
community
fun.
service. I mean, a lot, you know, again, COVID has kind of put some things on hold, but I think all of our campus support programs are trying to offer, you know, not just the academic support piece, but also that really like that social and emotional development, right? Where you get to go and be a college student. College is also really fun. It's really hard, but it's also a really great time of making friends. And you know, I know our FACES group has gone to movies, we've hosted speakers, we've had a book club. I mean, we've done a lot of just really silly and fun things like that as well. So I definitely want to end on that high note and let y'all know that not only will you be working hard, but there's a little bit of play, a little bit of playtime involved as well. So definitely hope you'll stay on that path to pursue higher education.
Awesome.
Yeah, don't get too carried away with having fun.
Yeah, there's a balance. Now you sound like the mom, Renisha.
Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat. Any final thoughts or any pieces of advice you want to leave us with?
Do not take 8 a.m.s. They are not the same as high school or elementary or middle school 8 a.m.s. They will ruin your life.
On that note, I would say one of the ways to get the schedule that you want in college is to register for your classes early and definitely on time. Don't wait, because then a lot of times those time slots get taken. So it's just like anything, you know, ask for help, be proactive. And like I said, rule number one, okay, Renisha, you get to redeem yourself. Rule number one.
I forgot.
I hope at least we're helping people laugh. We need more laughter during COVID. Never, ever, ever get.
I was gonna
God, maybe you should go back. Can you go back to that slide just so Renisha gets it?
Okay, my number one was asking for help.
Oh, okay, good. Awesome. Then that works. We thank you all so much for tuning in and enjoy your door prizes. And Todd, thanks so much for having us.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Thank all of y'all for being here. And y'all have again, if anything you get, don't give up. You can do it. And if there's two people to connect with, find those campus liaisons, the foster care liaisons. They'll show you around. They'll help you find who you need. And don't forget your PAL staff either. We're here to support you. We're here to cheer you on. We're here to help you. So if you have any questions, reach out to us and let us know. And thanks for joining us. Everybody have a great evening.
Bye, guys. Stay healthy and